Well, there are hard numbers on the rise of hate in America, and we want to share them with you. According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, hate groups have increased 69% since the year 2000. Now, when we use the word hate, this is what we mean. It does have a formal definition. It means a group or a movement that practices hate or hostility or violence explicitly towards another race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. Take a look at this map. As you can see, there are hate groups in almost every state in this country. 84 of them in California alone, 65 in Georgia, Florida, New Jersey, and Texas. That rounds out the top 5 states with hate groups. Those numbers are pretty stunning when you look at it. I mean, just looking at it this particular way. The question is, what is fueling this hate? J.M. Berger has been tracking these groups as a contributor to Foreign Policy magazine. Heidi Beirich is back with us, the director of the Intelligence Project at the Southern Poverty Law Center. All right, good to see both of you, and I appreciate your taking the time. J.M., I wanted to start with you. Wade Page, one of the things that we know about him, and as Ted has been reporting, he was a leader of a hardcore white supremacist rock band called End Apathy. He was linked to a white power group called the Hammerskins, and I just wanted to read something for our viewers. The mantra that that group lives by, according to its website, so this is available for all of us to see, is, quote, "We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children." How well known was Wade Page among the white power movement?
Well, the band was pretty well traveled. They did gigs in Baltimore, North Carolina, and in Florida. The Florida engagement was a particularly interesting one because they performed at an event that was Hammerskin event that was connected to the American Front organization. That was a racial paramilitary group that was planning to start a race war. There were a number of arrests in May, and at the event there was at least one informant, law enforcement source, who was attending the event, and there may have been undercover FBI agents and local law enforcement as well.
So what are you saying? So you're saying in an event as recently as this May, where Wade Page was, there could have been an informant to local law enforcement, to the FBI, to whom? Someone who would have seen him there?
The event was in 2011. The arrests of the American Front people were in May of 2012. And an informant reported seeing the band there in a redacted report. I wasn't able to read everything that was in the report, but he was definitely in a room with a law enforcement source, and there may have been other records that came out of that. The Hammerskins were involved with this American Front group. So, you know, while we're talking about this guy, you know, as somebody who may have acted alone, he was also connected to a pretty wide variety of groups that are considered to be very dangerous.
Yes, and Heidi, I guess this shows either the difficulty of connecting a person to a potential act, or it could have been a failure. Obviously, the FBI has said to CNN today that they didn't start a formal investigation, whether they had seen Wade Page at any of these events or not. And I know, Heidi, that you told me yesterday when we were in Oak Creek that you've been tracking Wade Page for more than a decade. I'm just curious, how many people in general are you tracking? How many people do you track for these extended periods of time?
Well, there's a shocking number, actually, of individuals with connections to the hate movement that we've captured information on, more than 20,000 by now. And Wade Page wasn't so rare. There's probably several hundred skinheads that look like him or tattooed up like him and have connections to groups like this. It may even actually be in the thousands. So although he looks very, very scary, you know, to the average American, within this world, he's just one of many.
Wow, so you're saying there are thousands of people who are sending the sort of red flags that Wade Page has been sending to you. I know for, it was about a dozen years you tracked him.
Yeah, we've been following him since 2000, which is when he started hanging out with neo-Nazis and ended up on the music scene. He attended a thing called Hammerfest, put on by this Hammerskin Nation in 2000. And then, of course, he went on to, you know, form his own band, play in other bands, and make connections with a whole host of groups, the Hammerskins, the American Front, as your other guest just said. So he was very, very active in the skinhead movement for a long time.
J.M., you know, we used to hear, I guess it's maybe this is anecdotal, but it feels like we used to hear more about these white supremacist groups, about big rallies where they would all get together. And it doesn't feel like we hear that anymore, but I know the statistics show that the number of groups has been rising. So why does it appear there's so much more under the radar now?
Well, the movement's become very splintered. You know, in the 90s, when this was really a very big deal, there was not only more larger organizations, some of which have been put out of business by the Southern Poverty Law Center. There were bigger organizations, they had larger meetings, and what we see now are a host of smaller organizations. When they get together, it's usually in groups of 30 or 40. It's a much more splintered movement, and they've also disconnected from some other anti-government extremists that they used to be more closely aligned with. For instance, the Patriot movement has really taken steps toward renouncing racism. It's not a totally clean break, but a lot of Patriot groups, which are anti-government oriented, used to be friendly with these organized racist groups, and they are not so much anymore.
Have moved apart. All right, well, Heidi and JM, thank you very much.